Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bible Show. I wanted to share a new philosophy I've been thinking of recently, just the past hour actually, and that is the philosophy of comfort. I think what made me come about think about this is that I think a lot of people over the centuries, over the decades, over the years, throughout all of human history, everyone has had shelter in some shape or form. Until recently, we've had houses, but not everyone has a home. So today we're going to be really distinguishing the differences between all three and really what it means to be comfortable in life. Um, and yeah, just definitely another preface. I was just thinking, what is something that most people are missing in life? Um, and if we stray away from cognitive origins, like we can look at cognitive functions just from the pure in its pure form as cognitive functions. We don't have to connect them to origins. Um, we can actually see that, and we can actually really try to satisfy our um, cognitive origins just purely for the sake of excuse me, we can try to satisfy our cognitive functions purely for the sake of um, just purely based off the functions themselves, not really connecting them to origins. And we have SI here, which is the function for someone's experience, someone's comfort level. And besides that, we have all the eight others, which will go through all the seven others. So you have TI, which I think to me it's like if you have TI, you want to be heard, you want to be listened to, and that's sort of anyone that shares their thoughts um, is sort of desires to be listened to. NE is like all the possibilities. It's like giving other people the desire. SI is being comfortable. Your experience. FE is what other people feel. Usually it's used to make others feel good because if you're aware of how other people feel, making them feel good, you want to make them feel good. Sort of like the same thing for TE. If you're aware of what other people think, you want other people to think well of you. And then NI, what you desire, what you want. SE, what's what are others' experiences? Is everyone around you comfortable? And then we have FI, sort of what's other people, what no, excuse me, what you feel, what you value, what you desire, what you feel like what's your mood? Are you I was actually thinking the other day if FI is like sort of connected to fun function, and to be FI, we stray away from what I just um, thought of what I just talked about. We connected to origins. We have FI, hero attached to achievement and authority, and we have an interesting connection where a lot of kids when they're younger they like to save for the jobs. They want to be in a position where they tell people what to do. So it's like FI feel good authority, and also FI achievement. We could say that it's also you feel good when you achieve a new level of fun. So, but that's a side tangent there. But out of all these functions, I think everyone does their best to feel good. Everyone does their best to make other. Well, it depends on their type, but I think most people try to make others comfortable to a certain degree. Um, most people go after what they want, especially in this society day and age. Most people try to maintain their reputation, trying to make others feel good. Um, Most people try to give other people what they desire, as long as it's not too um, out of like reasonable means. And most people are heard. I think most people have a lot of spaces to share their thinking or thoughts with the world. So that's definitely lovely with podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, blogging. There's so many ways to share your thoughts with the world. So that's super amazing. So I'm pretty sure. I was asking myself what a lot of people are missing, and I think in the chase for what we desire, you often miss out on SI, being comfortable. And we live in a world today that is less and less conducive to our comfortability. Fascinatingly enough, um, like for instance, if we take a look at the architecture, a lot of the architecture is like designed to make us uncomfortable. We have large um, we have large spaces with lots of windows, so um, people you can have sunlight coming in, but again, people can from the outside can sort of look at you from the outside, and it's like it's pretty. It's supposed to be pretty and aesthetic, but I think just definitely, which is how architecture is nowadays. And I'm not exactly an expert, but just from like going into those spaces, they're all like really empty, really big, and it doesn't really. Um, the aim is for the minimalism aesthetic and efficiency, um, and it's not like back in the '90s where I think a lot of the architecture was more conducive to delivering a great experience, making everyone comfortable. And we can definitely see in the architecture over the years, like for example, with like Gothic architecture with all the spokes, spikes, and everything protruding, and just all the intricate details inside those Gothic buildings. And taking it a step forward to the '90s, um, even with like McDonald's. So McDonald's in the '90s, they were super colorful, super bright. They had personality. They were really like even when I was a kid, McDonald's was yeah, it was bright. It had that red roof, that classic M, and I felt like it was a lot more homey than it was now. Nowadays, it's like an industrial minimalism aesthetic project, and it's just I don't think it's as comfortable as it was before, and that goes into another aspect of SE, making people comfortable. It's like where a lot of SE users they like to wear bright colors to make people comfortable. So you see like an ISFP, ESFP, the Wayfarers, the connection types, the validation types. They usually dress in brighter colors like blue, so people are comfortable around them. And a lot of architecture nowadays is very monochrome. It's gray. Very, it's like earthy palette. Not even earthy palette. It's like different shades of gray, black, and white, and it's not really conducive to making people comfortable. Maybe to look pretty or aesthetic. Um, I understand that as an INTP, I understand that I used to have that. I was like that when I was in high school, like 14, 15. I was super like minimalistic. Um, I really thought minimalism was the most peak aesthetic design in the world, and to some degree, I do find beauty in minimalism and aesthetic, and I do find a lot of great aesthetics in it. But I don't think it really makes people comfortable or feel at home, like how McDonald's used to be, just bright red, and just really it really made you feel at home to be at McDonald's, um, and I was gonna say, should it be a place where you should feel like home? I think it should be. It's fun, and hopefully, as long as you're not addicted to McDonald's, I think you should be fine. But just in general, everything in the world nowadays is designed to make people, I think, uncomfortable with especially anti-homeless architecture with spikes protruding out of like certain angles and certain like cracks or certain like dips or divots where people can sit, and it's kind of interesting how architecture can be like malicious, like actively malicious to dissuade homeless people. So yeah, everything in society is just with so many windows and everything, and it's just it's not as comfortable. Like even with malls, like the mall I live with nearby, like one of the newer luxury places, it has a lot of windows, so it's aesthetically it's pleasing, but it's not really that comfortable when like everyone walking outside you can see you. You can also see them too, because of course it's a window, but definitely it's not like the old brick and mortar. Which I think makes people more comfortable just with the privacy. The windows are aesthetic, so it really depends. So aesthetic, the function for aesthetic is probably like actually I can't think of it on top of my head. It's probably like maybe I think it's like an INTP thing to have like the minimalism aesthetic. Probably a lot of INTP architects. That's why I like a lot of our stuff looks very minimalistic nowadays, which is it's okay, but definitely the world is a lot less comfortable than it was in the I'm just gonna keep saying it. Um, like in the '90s, I think just everything in the '90s was more conducive to being comfortable, and I think that's definitely a big thing that a lot of people are missing in their lives nowadays. Now, comfort doesn't just extend to like the doesn't just extend doesn't only extend to like concrete things like locations, architecture. I think it can also be a little bit abstract. For example, like if like for myself, like and a lot of people like who've been playing games since they were kids. I think people who've been playing games since they were kids would be most comfortable inside of a GameStop, or maybe playing sports since you were a kid. Probably be most comfortable inside of like a Dick's Sporting Goods or some sort of sporting goods store. Um, so just I think as people grow older, we lose a sense of comfort as we really navigate new things in life. Sometimes our job isn't in an area that we're most comfortable with, and sometimes we live in an area that's where we're not the most comfortable for whatever reason. Like I don't know, maybe the weather is not like it was back home or something like that. But overall, just like a lot less comfort is definitely. I think it's a big thing that's missing from like a lot of people's lives nowadays. And I guess to dive more into the abstract side of things, relationships. I think a lot of people are actively talking to strangers nowadays, and it's like that. It's like the Bible verse in Proverbs, like the strange. Actually, I, I don't want to I'm not sure how much I want to preach to that, but because that verse doesn't have much to do with how people operate. So how people operate nowadays is like people go on like dating apps and they swipe, and it's basically talking to strangers. What's interesting in a contrast in the '90s, a fascinating statistic is that most people they connected through mutual friends. So there's definitely a high degree of comfort there, where um, you know you knew the other person through your friend or something like that, and it's definitely a lot more of a comfortable experience than meeting with a stranger. And I think what's interesting for a lot of women, I don't think they understand this about guys, is that like us guys, I think we feel uncomfortable around like new people too. like what I mean by that is that like I don't think we're we were scared of like losing a physical confrontation, but I definitely feel uncomfortable like if like it's a new person, I just you don't feel that level of comfort and familiarity, of course, and it really dissuades you from wanting to maybe engage in a conversation with that person, even though that person might be attractive. It's just you don't feel that comfort or familiarity. I think even guys underestimate their ability, like their level of desire based on how comfortable or familiar they feel with the other person. So, like I said before, um, I think just a big thing really missing just in the world nowadays is comfort. There's so much discomfort in the world, and I guess in a world with lots of INTPs who are discovery types, pushing past your comfort zone, discovery, maybe exploring new things within your comfort zone, which is can be another aspect of discovery. It definitely life can really seem can be pretty jarring at times. It's I think the feeling that most people can really concur with is that I think everyone's really achieving a lot of great, amazing things every day. Really doing what they desire, but I think everyone's missing a level of comfort nowadays, and I think that's why a lot of people are sort of yearning for the past, because the world was a lot more comfortable. Like the girls, like I was a kid back then, so you liked the girls that were at school, that people you knew. Um, McDonald's still had a bright red roof back in like 2006, 2007, 2008. Um, the malls, all the architecture everywhere, it was like brick and mortar, so you really had your privacy. Like what happened inside of school, what happened inside that brick and mortar place stayed inside that brick and mortar place, basically. Um, and everything was just a lot more comfortable. The cars were a lot more comfortable. Wasn't just like a lot of like confusing computer technology or I guess like robots, kind of like mini robots in your cars, um, just really dictating like how your car functions and just really tracking you with everything you do. And I think definitely a way to alleviate this problem would be can identify that the world's a lot less comfortable. We can then, of course, figure out ways to make ourselves more comfortable. And I think I think that takes us back to the concept we mentioned earlier. So all humans strive for shelter, like a place to protect ourselves when there's rain or snow or sleet or bad weather, extreme heat. Um, Houses, like I think a lot of people, most people have houses to stay in, and I'll consider a house like a place to live. And home, I consider that a place to feel comfortable. And sometimes people don't necessarily feel like comfortable in their own home, and I think not because their home is an uncomfortable place, but because I think a lot of people have outgrown their nostalgia or left their past behind. Um, like a lot of young people nowadays are trying to recreate themselves, maybe move to a new city, move to a new place. But I think they lose their degree of comfortability, not just because they move, just because they're leaving their past self behind. And I think definitely just diving, a great way to become, like to be more comfortable. And comfort is actually, it's a universal desire because we all have SI, and it's a universal desire as well because a universal something we all try to give others because we have SE, we want to make people comfortable. And it's also like a very interesting principle of heaven where there was a story where this guy, he had like some sort of, he was medically dead for a couple of minutes, and he was transported to heaven. And when the angel took him to heaven, he was like wearing like golf clothes he was comfortable in. And he mentioned like the fact like during his near-death experience of how it was very fascinating how God did his best to make him comfortable. And I definitely get it why a lot of people are dissuaded by the idea of heaven, even though it mentions like we'll have houses and mansions in heaven. Um, I think people just sort of feel uncomfortable being in heaven. Although we have hints of how comfortable we might be with God giving us clothes, like the clothes we're most comfortable with, um, we can't really estimate our level of comfort in whatever place we go to next. So definitely, of course, it makes sense. It's in God's nature because we're images of God. He has SE too, to maybe a completely different extent than us. Be he sort of operates the same way as that. He wants to make everyone comfortable. So I think in this world, what we can do to make ourselves comfortable is to try to avoid talking to strangers. Avoid talking to strangers. Get to know people first. Get to know people first. I think talking to strangers. It's actually a habit I have. I think it's great to meet. Um, Always great to hear people's stories, but I think in terms of comfort, I think it's always better to get to know someone first, have some level of familiarity. So, but I think people do it regularly with dating apps and swiping. It's basically talking to strangers, and it's hard to really get to know people first. So, I think to be more comfortable, it's just really take yourself to a setting where you can get to know a person, like maybe school, work, um, mutual friends, which I think were the top three methods of how couples met back in the 90s. So I think just having that level of comfortability is definitely going to make you feel just a lot more at home. Definitely a lot more at home. And um, another thing is like sticking, um, accepting nostalgia, accepting and cultivating nostalgia. I think like for myself, I played like League of Legends since I was 12. It's almost been 10 years, 10 and a half years, 11 years. So I always feel most comfortable with like League stuff around me. It's something I grew up with. As I've maybe strayed away from League, even though like the NI was lost, like the passion, the desire to play the game isn't there anymore. Definitely, it's the game that still makes me the most comfortable. I'd definitely be pretty comfortable showing up to like an esports or a LAN event where everyone's playing League, or like some sort of League of Legends merch shop. You just see a bunch of like um, champions from the game. And another example with myself, like movies, big fan of movies since I was a kid. So especially like horror movies and kung fu flicks. So I'm always the most comfortable. Those movies make me feel really satisfied my SI because um, it makes me feel the most comfortable watching those films. Never like I was besides I was never really like a science fiction like a this is one example, like a Star Trek person, or like a Dune person. So I think those films are interesting, but doesn't really fall into my comfort zone. And another interesting thing about comfort, which we'll sort of just get into next, is like the people you grew up around. I actually did not grow up around many Oriental Asian people. I mostly grew up around like like Indian people. Like I had like a lot of great Indian friends growing up. Um, and so I'm most comfortable talking to Indian people compared to people that look like me, Oriental Asian people. And yeah, most of the people I grew up with most of the people I spent time with growing up were Indian people. Like a lot of like Indian like a lot of Indian like best friends growing up. So like Indian people, and then after that was like Indian people, black, not black. I spent time with a lot of black people growing up. I did. I used to have like a black best friend when I was in kindergarten, and also a white best friend. So, but I spent a majority of my time with Indian people because I had like a good amount of Indian best friends. So that's for me. That's sort of my comfort zone. So like if I see like a Indian festival, I feel pretty comfortable walking to Indian festival. I feel sort of like at home, like with seeing all the chutney. Well, chutney. I just started getting into chutney and all that stuff. Chutney and masala. I just started getting into that food, if I'm being honest. But I'm just seeing a bunch of Indian people. That's sort of my comfort zone. Actually, I feel uncomfortable when I see like groups of Asian people, because I never really spent time with Asian people growing up. Besides like family events and like Buddhist temples here and there. So that's definitely another aspect of like what basically I guess I think we can all see the encompassing concept is that whatever makes you like comfortable and whatever you're used to basically growing up, whatever you did like your whole life is sort of I think really a driving principle to satisfy the your experience in this world, so that I think people can really feel at home in this world, even though um, it's gonna sound wishy-washy. Like our home is in another world, yeah, at least in the next life. But in this world, I think a lot of people. I think the world is just so uncomfortable. Like all the architecture is so there's too many windows. There's no privacy. Um, our phones like our phones make us uncomfortable. No privacy. Um, what else? Like everything. The um, the McDonald's red roofs are gone. Um, all the neon bright colors of the past are gone. The cereals don't have are missing color. There's everything in the world is just very much uncomfortable. Like minimalism is really in now, and I think well, yeah, I think just really diving into the past, really diving into what people are used to, and really straying away from emptiness. This could be also spending time with groups of people, spending time with um, spending time in spaces that are like really like not empty, like maybe like a library, or like maybe a cozy bookstore. Even bookstores like Barnes and Nobles, I think it's a little too empty. It's not as cozy as some indie bookstores. So I just think this current aesthetic is very uncomfortable. Even though it's pretty, it's just uncomfortable. And there's like so many like I think we could definitely go on and on talking about comfortability. I think women are a lot more uncomfortable than they were in the past. I think in the past we had it's going to seem very shocking. Um, in the past we had like in, like in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, like women had like very poofy, high volume hairs, and just that big, just a big poofy or contraption. That's not the most flattering word to use. Just a big, just that high volume hair that took up a lot of space definitely was a lot more. It's a lot more comforting. It's just sort of like the more laid back, casual hairstyles nowadays. If we really want to take it that far, on just the level of comfort, as well as with sort of how people dress nowadays, it's sort of the lack of modesty. It might be desirable, any desirability, but it doesn't necessarily make people comfortable, which is interesting. How sometimes by making someone more comfortable, you can actually drive more desirability to talk to the person than trying to be desirable, which is an interesting concept. Comfort and familiarity, very, very interesting. To me, it's a very interesting concept, and yeah, I think it's definitely a big problem in 2026. Is that this world like doesn't feel like home anymore. It feels very uncomfortable to live in this world. Just the architectural, the how we operate in society, the people, like how people dress. It's very definitely definitely I think a very interesting thing for anyone to think about. Just all the things in life that make you uncomfortable, and all the things in life that do make you comfortable. And yeah, I think it's definitely it's always good to think back on comfort when if you feel like something's missing from your life, because I don't I don't believe it's just the case of not being content in life. I think everyone has that sort of mind frame where they can be content, but I don't think it's ideal for people to be uncomfortable. Like if it's beyond self improvement, I think it doesn't hurt for the world to be more comfortable and for people to feel at home. It really does a lot for people's morals and moods, for just the world to be more comfortable. And I think yeah, that's basically the video. Just I think just bringing comfort into your lives. I think people try with like plushies and like soft things, but I think it really goes beyond that. Like for myself, I yeah, like just I thinking back on my life, like Pokemon cards, video games, um, like a lot of like Indian best friends, um, like not a lot of Asian people at my school. So that's sort of basically my comfort zone in life. Just like that could be my comfort zone life, but at the same time, it gives us it's definitely another idea to think about. We can become more comfortable with certain subject matter, with maybe our job or things we do, by just spending more time. So I think definitely you can spend more time with things that make you uncomfortable to get used to it. But I think it's always good to be comfortable. I think people are just missing so much of being comfortable, feeling at home, um, and I guess the biggest problem of being uncomfortable is that you really lose so much satisfaction when you're uncomfortable. Like you feel like something's missing. You feel like you have a deep something's missing, like just a deep hole. And I think anyone will feel that way if you go into like an empty warehouse. You feel like a deep like a deep hole in yourself because you're uncomfortable. It's like an empty warehouse. But if it's like full, that warehouse turned into like maybe some sort of amusement park or something, amusement park inside. I think then people feel a lot more happier because they feel a lot more comfortable. So I guess in terms of cognitive origins, being comfortable is very much connected to satisfaction. So satisfaction, like I think the duality of satisfaction, which I guess we'll get into all the dualities of origin, is like happiness or joy. And I think being comfortable really taps into, I guess off the top of my head, it taps into our happiness, just being comfortable as people. And we really, I guess, look at 2020. Um, just the world became so uncomfortable with like people wearing masks. We didn't know each other. There's no familiarity. Like all the immigrants were letting in. This creates discomfort. Um, Architecture creates discomfort. Um, yeah, so artificial robots and artificial. Okay, there we go. I think robots, artificial intelligence make us uncomfortable because it's it's not really humans. It's pretty like robots are kind of creepy. Robots and artificial kind of creepy as of now. So yeah, there's so many things in the world make us uncomfortable, and yeah, definitely I think it takes away a lot from my happiness, which is why I definitely would take a time machine, which um, it's kind of foolish because you can't reverse causation. But if I could go back to the '90s somehow, if God could plot me back in the '90s, I definitely would go there, um, and not just because of this. I don't even have the nostalgia for the '90s, but just like factually speaking, I think with analyzing the world, um, each decade of the world through comfort, I think the '90s was just a lot more comfortable. Just like no robots, no artificial intelligence, um, bright red McDonald's roofs, like people, like you knew people around town, all that. You just felt a lot more home in the world. And nowadays, it's really hard to feel at home in this world, even though like we're like on like a very like on a very like on a spiritual note, we shouldn't like we don't have to feel at home in this world. But if we are gonna live like 100 or 110 years, hopefully 120 years on this earth, maybe even longer, um, I think you can gain so much power from being happy. I think it can make you a lot of benefits from being happy, like longevity and all that stuff. But and I think being comfortable, like feeling at home in this world, is definitely one of like the big aspects to being happy in this world. So definitely some food for thought. So just like some practical advice, summary, food for thought. Like really think about the past. Like what do you what did you grow up like? What was life like for you? What is your comfort zone in life? Um, and comfort zone, like it's not the worst if we're talking about the sake of happiness. Now we're talking for self improvement. Definitely want to escape your comfort zone, but if we're talking about like you feel like there's some sort of like deep hole in your life, like you feel uncomfortable, like your life feels like an empty warehouse. Really ask yourself like, do I feel at home in this world? Do I feel comfortable? What in life makes me comfortable? What is my comfort zone? And yeah, it's definitely a huge part of feeling at home. And yeah, that's about it for this video. I hope if anyone found it informative, educational, insightful, and I hope this really fixes the architecture to make. I think we need to go away with minimalism, like maybe like next year or two, or maybe 2030s, like we dive back into like Gothic architecture and like just like less spacious architecture, like more like cramped medieval architecture, with just the room filled with everything or anything, because it's so uncomfortable being in the world. Just it's aesthetic, but it's pretty uncomfortable. It doesn't feel like home. The architecture doesn't feel at home. So I think definitely, yeah, definitely something that could use improvement, and hopefully in the future it's gonna change.